Hello and welcome to The Difference, a show created for realtors, entrepreneurs, and small business owners who are looking for ways to make the difference in their careers, their business-to-business relationships, industry image and reputation, as well as in their communities. Today, I am joined by three of my friends and buddies and co-hosts. I've got sitting beside me here Brian Poduska with Real Property Management Focus. Across from him, we have James Kern with Delicate Moving. And across from me, my co-host today, Brian Dobbs, master of a lot of many things. One being, let me grab it here, one being a new book that you wrote, uniquely called. Let me see if I can get that on camera. And Brian was kind enough, and we'll get this for you guys too, to give each one of you a signed copy.
Cool.
So,
you're welcome.
Want to give that to you guys, but let's go around the table and tell everybody who we are, what we do. Brian, we'll go with you last.
Sure.
Brian, we'll go with you first.
Which Brian, right? No, thank you, Landon. Happy to be here today. My name is Brian Poduska, owner of Real Property Management Focus, where we focus on your real estate investments. So we are a full-service property management company handling tenant placement, rent collection, maintenance coordination, evictions if necessary. So if you're in need of those services, look us up, Brian Poduska, Real Property Management Focus, where we focus on real estate investments.
Yeah, James Kern here with Delicate Moving. Glad to be on the show again. Thanks, Lyndon, for having me. Tell you what, this book right here, I don't know what it says in here. It may be a bunch of junk, but that's a 10 for a title. I love that.
Thank you.
Now, live out your faith in the marketplace. We're living in a world where it can sometimes be difficult to do that, so I appreciate the title. Look forward to looking into this. But, yeah, Delicate Moving. We're a full-service moving company. We provide storage as well. So if you need long-term storage or you're just in between houses, maybe you aren't able to close on your house the day you close on your one you're moving out of, we can provide a short-term storage. We full packing, unpacking, full-time movers, don't use any day labor or temporary help. So ready to get going for the spring here. We're headed towards a busy moving season.
Awesome. That's kind of like what we had on your commercial. Did you see that?
Yes.
Okay. All right. I want to make sure you saw it. All right. Brian Dobbs.
Well, I'm Brian Dobbs, speaking and coaching and author, a lot of training.
Arthur.
Arthur. Yeah, we went over that on one show.
I got tongue-tied that day.
You know, I think my biggest gig is just really helping people in the education process, training, personal professional development is really important to me. I believe that we can all get better, do better, and when we have that community and we're building that team and that community, it really helps out. Then we're not solo or just that lone ranger stuck on an island, because that's no fun anyway. But when you're building people up, you're also building a community with that. So one of my main emphasis, and then you also see in the book uniquely called, is that we all have a purpose. And we have that purpose. We get to serve other people. We get to build up our community. We get to serve our family in better ways. It's just all around a good deal.
Part of that book, I think that you and I have discussed and talk a little bit about that, but it is how we tend to kind of separate our personal from our business from our spiritual. And this book kind of talks about how they should be integrated, correct?
Correct. Because we're one person, and we can take off our responsibility of being a professional, and you put on that part of your hat that you're responsible for being a husband, a dad, or a friend, but you're still that one person. And I really believe that we've separated way too much when we really needed to compartmentalize as well as cause it to be harmoniously aligned. So my spiritual, my intellectual, my emotional, and my physical should be aligned with every single thing that I'm doing, whether it's in the professional field, a personal field, or whatever application there is.
Okay, awesome. So today we're going to be talking about getting noticed. Brian and I have been having some discussions on this, and I've got some really fun facts to share today. But in getting noticed, let's talk a little bit about that. I'm gonna read a statement that I read, pulled off the internet, and everything's true on the internet. So tell me what you guys think about this statement. Most businesses fail or seem to struggle not because of a bad product or service, but because not enough people knew who they are, what they do, and the passion they have to serving those who want and need what they offer. True statement, false statement? What do you think? Or do I need to read it again?
I mean, I like it. I like that. I don't know if that's the most, but I mean, that's a big thing. In fact, I think there's some businesses out there that do a really good job of promoting themselves, and they're successful and don't have a great product. I won't mention them by name, but I rarely don't eat anything with bread, but I had a sandwich this weekend. I decided to get off the my diet or whatever, my plan, and I had a sandwich, and I told my wife, I said, I can't believe they have these all over the country. It's a pretty successful franchise, but I said they provide good service when you come in. They're consistent with their sandwiches. I'm sure and I said, but I can name 2 or 3 places that have better sandwiches. But I mean, it's just they market it. They tell them, they have a good plan and a good message.
But that's kind of what I'm talking about. I mean, if you could have the best service and the best product, but if nobody knows you exist,
Correct.
you make no sales.
Yeah.
So even if you're
sure.
terrible, you said this earlier, if you're terrible at sales, and I'm going to use myself for example. You've heard the story before. When I first started in sales, I was terrible. Still not good, but I figured out the recipe. It's a numbers game. The more people I talked to, by default, I would find 2 people that were just willing to I was fitness sales, so they would join the fitness center. But I had to call 300 people a day.
Mm-hmm.
It was miserable. It sucked.
Mm-hmm.
But I did it anyway because it guaranteed almost to a T that I would get 2 sales a day.
Mm-hmm.
So even if you're terrible, if enough people know what you do and like you, they're going to give you a shot.
Right.
And I think we're failing because we're not getting out in front of the people. So let's talk a little bit about the ways that we see businesses getting in front of us now. And I'm talking more about small businesses, not the big corporations with the $1 million advertising budgets. Let's talk about small businesses and how they are connecting with people.
Well, I think, and prior to jumping in that, let's backtrack just a little bit because, having good customer service, having a great product, having a great solution to our end consumer, that takes a lot of time to develop. That we're getting better, we're perfecting our trade, we're getting better at communication. So, we spend all of that time, and this is where I want to segue into this. We spend a lot of time in developing maybe a better sandwich or better process or maybe a better bread composition. I'm off the bread too, so I've stayed on my plan, which is not too bad. I have deviated a little, but anyway, we'll get right back on track here. But when we focus that much effort and energy, and we don't utilize marketing, and I've been there myself, and you don't expose your brand, you don't become visible to enough people, you're not reaching out to enough people. You can pride yourself. We can justify, well, I have a great product or service or a company, absolutely. But again, to your point, we spent so much time and energy. We spent 0 energy on marketing, or we throw a few dollars out. What I've seen also, we throw a few dollars out to a couple marketing agencies, and they're going to quote unquote take our brand to the next level, and that has been an epic fail as well.
Well, I think when you're a small business owner and you are the face, you are we talk about working in and working on your business. A market, there's so many of them that want to do the corporate model of branding and not the personal model of branding. And people are going to buy and shop with us and hire us because they like us more than they like the other person. And so I think that's where a lot of us miss it, is we're trying to brand through a logo and through a tagline rather than who I am personally and what my signature message is about why I do what I do.
Absolutely. And I'm definitely about the signature message and the core values.
I learned that from you.
How do you guys? Well, I want to ask because I like to talk, guys. So that's one reason that he gets me on here, just because I like to talk so much. But how do you guys, when you guys are building your business and you have your target audience and you know your pitch, how do you slide in, or do you slide in your personal, because they're going to do business with you because they know, like, and trust you. What is your process in that?
Yeah, I don't know if I have a process per se, but as much personal information as I can offer, especially when I'm talking about the history of how I got to where I'm at, and the services that I offer, I always try to make it a personal thing. So yeah, I don't know if I have a process per se, but it always comes down to, when you're talking about yourself, you have to have your personality come out, and as much personal information as you want to or can share in any given conversation, to me, it's always a benefit.
Yeah, I think being authentic is a big thing. I think more is caught than taught. So you can get up and tell people about yourself all you want, but they're going to catch who you really are, just in what they maybe experience with a client they may have referred to you, or just if you showed up on time, or if you were courteous enough to give them a call and say, I'm running late, or, just little things. People catch that. It's not what you get up and say to a crowd. I mean, you could write me a speech to get up and give, or a sales pitch to get up, and 100 people could all go deliver that same spiel, but it's who that person really is. And so telling people just to be themselves and to be personable, of course that's what you want to be, but some people aren't authentic. Some people aren't likable. Some people just aren't good. I mean, I'm sorry. I mean, I've dealt with a lot of them in business.
True.
And so eventually that comes out, and pretty soon people are like, God, I'm looking for somebody else to do business with because I really don't like this person. They offer a pretty good product, but I'm tired of dealing with them.
Right.
And so
There's
those
no
give
connection.
there's no connection. And so I just think it's about being real and authentic, and you can't really coach that. You can't really teach that, because either you are or you aren't.
Well, part of it, though, it comes from, obviously having a compelling message that kind of creates the interest and endears you to that person.
Sure.
I think sales pitches bring across a transactional approach.
Mm-hmm.
I think that signature messages bring across a relational approach. And what I mean by that is, what are your shared experiences? If I created a business because I was a consumer that got screwed over, that just wasn't served the way that I felt like it could be done better, isn't that a great way to connect with that person, because you're talking their language?
They also want to see your passion. So you're wanting me to use your services, or you're wanting whatever, but you don't even seem passionate about what you do. How do you want me to be passionate? So I think you've got to, if I was coaching someone, I would say, you've got to show your passion for your business.
Right.
They've got to know it means something to you in order for you to mean something to them.
Right.
If your business doesn't mean something to you, then you're not going to mean something to the people you're trying to get to use your services or to hire you.
Well, I think it's got to transcend the commission, the payment, whatever, too. I think that you've got to deliver that message. When I was in credit repair, I got started in credit repair because I hired a company and I paid them $3,000 after a divorce to fix my credit, and they went out of business 2 weeks later.
Mm-hmm.
So now I'm $3,000 light. I was in the mortgage business and
still had bad credit.
still had bad
okay,
credit.
There you go.
Yeah. And so I'm like, okay, well, I can fix this. And so then I go through the process of trying to fix it, not realizing that the credit bureaus and the collection companies were not on my side. They're on their side. That's how they make money, is protecting themselves. And it took me about 18 months. But as I started to figure out how the game was played, and I started to realize all the other people that were going through experiences like me, I was like, I want to help people. That's how I got into credit repair. That was not a life goal.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I was able to sit there and talk to people about, I have sat where you sat. I know what you're concerned about. I know what your fears are. I know what you're looking for and your expectations are. And I'm not just some guy that created a credit repair company so I can see if I can make money. I'm here to help you fix problems that I've experienced. And I think that resonates. That's a type of message, I think, that make people go, I'm hiring you because you get it.
Right.
You understand me.
So I want to go back, James. You caught versus taught, or there's. We're really. I want to focus on that caught part.
Yeah.
So we really can't coach it. However, we might be able to help people.
Sure.
Okay. So when and the two words that you mentioned were, one was authentic and two was You have to really show people what you're passionate about.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Did I do good on these words? I mean, are you?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just making sure here. I mean,
James,
you've written a book. I haven't. So
James, I'm taking notes over
Okay,
here.
okay,
I'm
I'm just
taking
wondering.
notes over here. So the third thing that was kind of inferred was they have to see you from an experience level, and this segues perfectly into get noticed, because when we were talking about, how do you take this caught feeling, if it's caught, then that's a one-on-one dealing, correct? How do you multiply that? Because if you could multiply that, do you think you'd get more business?
Sure.
Hands down. All day, every day. And that's what we've been working on, that signature message, because you can come back and there are companies out there that will tell you, and I won't name any companies out there because I have buddies that work for most of these companies anyway, but they'll tell you that they've been in existence since, 1749. That, okay, I need to go back into history and study what happened in 1749,
Sure.
but right now it's not as relevant as my situation that needs to be solved. So 1749 didn't do anything for me. If they are a $1 trillion company or a $1 billion company or a commodity-based building or commodity-based company, it doesn't, again, it may or may not scratch my itch. I can go down the street and get 4 or 5 quotes, but it's that very thing that takes away from the transactional and goes completely to relational without losing the integrity of the business. So that's really what when we talk about signature message, I look at core values, passion, your style, and your community, because those 4 components make up the signature message.
Well,
and you put it great. It's more is caught than taught. So how can I encapsulate or disseminate or even convey the caught portion? That's what I'm looking for.
And I think making those connections with people. I mean, that's networking. I get it, but I mean, really making a connection with people and getting to know them and what they're all about. I mean, people want to be known. To be known and to know are 2 needs that we have. And that doesn't mean we all know a bunch of people, but we really want to be known. We want people to know us, and we have the desire to know people. And so I think your message can come out. You can really work on your message, too, in these one-on-one encounters. And that's where people can pick up on what kind of person you are, how intentional you are about your business, how passionate you are about your business. And so some of the best marketers or people that market their business that I know of, they invest a lot of time in just one-on-one meetings with people and spending time and investing instead of going and capturing an audience of 50 people. They really hunker down and try, because once they make an investment in that person, once they have a connection and that person believes in them, now they've got somebody that can go out and exponentially help them build their business just by word of mouth and because now that person has credibility. So now James Kern with Delicate Moving, okay, here, sorry for third person, but so what I've got here is
who is this James Kern guy?
I've got a believer in me and my business with Lyndon.
Mm-hmm.
So I've got third party credibility with your friends, with your sphere of influence.
Right.
And so that's what I think we miss. And I sometimes am guilty of that, as I get so busy and trying to hit a massive group of people, or, I'm going to go speak at this deal or go network at an event. And I meet 30 people there. But if I don't ever spend the time to get to know any of those people, then I'm just like the next guy who's going to be there next week promoting his moving business who's buying their lunch.
Right. And I think obviously there's a big follow-up to that. One of the things that, and we'll talk about numbers. Did you have anything else before? Because I want to get to the number part.
I know you want to get to the number part. I'm just going to throw this out there.
Sure.
So we're going to take the caught aspect and we're going to be authentic and passionate. But could we take that? And I know that going to a networking group or meeting one-on-one is really it's really nice. But could I take that one-on-one experience and push it over into a radio program or a YouTube video or a Facebook Live or into a LinkedIn and still have those components of an interactive experience or a connection with engagement?
Yes.
And I think a lot of us just don't take the time to
Sure.
do that.
Well, I don't think we understand. I don't think we understand the numbers.
Right.
Okay. And sales is a numbers game, right?
Correct.
So, in doing some research, and I've kind of blown his mind with this, if you look at social media, do you know what the average number of friends that everybody using Facebook has?
650,
375.
375.
Because there's a lot of people that don't use it
Right.
very often.
Right.
The average business owner has 1,500 connections. Okay? Now, if you take the 6 degree of separation, meaning your connections multiplied by their connections,
Mm-hmm.
which is accessible. If you only had 375 connections, that's 141,000 people at your fingertips at any given moment that you can communicate with.
Mm-hmm.
And bringing an authentic message in a way that they will listen, not overwhelming. Now I want to get a little bit higher on the numbers. If you're a business owner that has 1,500, you have access to 2.2 million people at any given moment.
Mm.
You have as many people in the palm of your hand as you will ever need for your business
Right.
if you're getting a message out. But you've got to combine both. And I think we limit ourselves with some of the old school ways. I mean, I love networking. I love the lunch and learns. I love the happy hours and things like that. But not everybody's there for the same reason we are.
Correct.
Not everybody's there to be receptive to our business. And things like radio shows and podcasts and just short social media videos, people that are watching because they wanted to, right? They're tuning in because they wanted to. So if you had, I'm going to go back to numbers again. If you had 5,000 friends, which is the limit on Facebook, right? You had 2,500 people in your social media page. Anybody good with math? Tell me how much people you have access to.
With 5,000 and 2,500.
Mm-hmm. So that's 7,500 total.
Okay.
56 million. Not all 56 million are going to listen to you.
Right.
There's a group that I've been following now for 4 years. It's an outdoor group, and they do not sell on their social media platform. They don't sell at all. They basically educate. So Brian and I were talking about a show. Who was on the show with the guys from Austin? You
I
were.
was.
And so they talked about service media versus social media.
Sure.
And so that's what these guys do. It's an outdoor group. When I joined, they were at about 3,300. They have 65,000 followers now. They do not sell in the group. They answer questions about hunting and fishing.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. Now, everybody knows that they have a product in a company where they sell. Their yearly revenue right now on small ticket items is about $4 million from that group alone. Their reach, because of the 65,000 followers, is 4.2 billion people.
Mm.
Again, that's not, you're not going to hit them all.
Yeah.
That's your potential.
But you have a 15-minute, 1-minute video that has the potential to hit thousands of people a day. And in order for you to do that, and I think you use that not, again, to integrate technology with the personal aspect. You get your message out and get people interested, liking you, wanting to know more about you, and then you do those one-on-ones. But I think that the only way that we can truly scale is through numbers.
Well, true. And one of the things that I have, in the past really shunned away from social media is because it felt more transactional than relational. Because and James, here we go again. What were the people
You're quoting me, my
the
goodness.
people want to know two things. They either want to be known or what? What was it?
Well, we have a need to be known and to know.
To be known and to know. So if you take social media, and when Lyndon said service media, and that came out, and I was listening to the show that day, it was an eye-opener to me. I'm like, oh my goodness, what have I been doing? Was I shunning something that actually could be used as a tool I mean, my heartbeat is to serve and build people up and pull people in and build community. And I love that stuff. And when we really are looking at our community and our tribe, the people that we hang around with the most, if you have that servant's heart, guess what? You hang out with other people that have servant's heart.
Hey, Brian, I'm going to have to cut you off
Okay.
unless you want to pay the bill.
No. Go ahead.
All right. Hold that thought. Folks, we're going to be right back. We're going to take a short commercial break here. And I'm going to try to keep Brian on track where he was.
Teed up
And ready to go. We'll be back in just a few minutes.
3, 2, 1. KVGIRadio.com.
Y'all have really just opened my bubble and just.
KVGI Radio brings you conversation and entertainment. Be sure to follow us on social media. Who streams the best talk shows? We do.
You're listening to KVGIRadio.com. Streaming live from the KVGI studios in Frisco, Texas. Live without limits.
And we're back. Thank you for staying with us. Before we get started, we've been talking a little bit about how to get noticed as far as a business owner. We're talking about numbers, signature messages. Before we start, though, I do want to give a big shout out to our sponsors, Holly Haggard with Geneva Financial. She's been in the mortgage industry for 18 years. She has knowledge in meeting contract dates, low rates, and fees. They're all important. But our idea of a home loan goes beyond that. Holly's mortgage loans come with a personalized financial plan that is proven to build wealth for her clients when followed properly. If you're looking for a home loan refi, give Ms. Haggard a call at 817-761-5626 or visit her website at mortgagewit.com. Also, we want to thank Josh Small with WeatherTech General Contracting, remodeling, roofing, all construction and home building. If you're a real estate agent and you don't have a preferred roofer, I would encourage you to get in touch with Josh. You can reach Josh at 469-544-3958. We want to also thank Adam and Liz Terrell with the Real Estate Triangle. If you're a real estate agent or industry support professional looking to grow your sphere of business, Real Estate Triangle is a group of small business owners that surround the real estate transaction. inspectors to roofers, lenders to electricians. There's endless list of people in the home industry. They are on social media, Facebook. Look them up at the Real Estate Triangle. They have several locations: Dallas, Waco, Austin, Tulsa, Oklahoma City, Las Vegas, Little Rock, and Northwest Arkansas. So, do you remember where you were?
I do.
Absolutely.
He's
perfect.
got notes.
Well,
I
yeah,
do have notes.
he was that kind of student, huh?
So I think I've just learned, not to.
You learn what you don't
yeah,
remember.
I learn
You
what I
learned that you
didn't
can't
know.
remember it all.
Right.
So we were talking about people want to know and they want to be known. So changing our social media into a service media just approach. If I looked at it that way, and Linda and I were talking about numbers, and I know the average has 375. That's what you said.
Right.
The small business has 1,500. Well, I had him run my numbers, and the reach was crazy.
Well, we did a connective reach. So if we combined together to help each other, we were at somewhere around, was it 65 million?
I don't remember the we part, but it was
So we
just mine was crazy.
Yeah, yours. I had your.
Mine was like over 10 million
Yeah.
potential. So if I was doing this right, I would have, if I had this revelation, I mean, wouldn't I have turned it into a social media? Wouldn't I have wanted to go into, more people want, more people, I guess, when they hear me and help me say this correctly, but more is caught than taught. What if I would have gone with that approach, and had that massive expanse going from where I am today to reaching, maybe I don't reach the full 100%, 10 million, which I understand
you could
that.
reach 10,000 a month.
But if I could reach 1% of 10 million,
Right.
or 3%, that's still good numbers, guys.
Right.
Well, when we talk about cold calling and numbers that way, and we talk about buying leads, you are incubating leads when you have a community that you're communicating with. Constantly, you're incubating that. I look at it kind of like, I think you said something like this the other day, but it's kind of like the and I've used this before, the garden approach versus the grocery store approach. We go to the grocery store because it's quick, it's convenient, we get what we want. But what happens if they're out of what we want? Obviously, you can go to another grocery store. But if you were limited, what I love about this and the opportunity that we can utilize the social media platform is that you can plant as big of a garden as you want. You can cultivate it, you can nurture it. It takes a little bit longer to produce, but you're in control.
Yeah, absolutely.
Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Totally.
Brian?
That makes sense to me. Which Brian, right? You got to specify. No, I mean I think that's completely right. And yeah, it depending on what business you have, it may take longer to for that garden to grow, to keep the analogy going. But yeah, there's no more fertile soil than having 10 million people at your fingertips by having a network of 375 people on average, right?
So let me ask this. Let's say that we're in a business that happens to be somewhat boring to the general public. There's a few of those,
Couple.
What?
right? So what would we do then to get noticed? Do we always have to talk about business? I mean, don't we want people to get to know who we are and like us?
Right.
Yeah.
That's part of your personality, and part of people getting to know you is step outside of your business, right? Show some personality.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that kind of what resonates with people as well. I mean, if you see somebody, you go, man, I kind of like that guy or that lady, whatever it may be. Cool story. I'm going to listen again later. And over time, then you start to realize what they do. It's not just a sales pitch. Again, I think that if we're using social media, and I think two things have happened with social media that's given it a bad rap. One is just all the personal junk, right? Just the I don't know I know a good word for it, but not one I'm going to say. And then the other one is that everything you see is a sales pitch. So people have kind of turned that off.
Right.
That's not service media, as we talked about. That if all you're doing is, this is what I do, please buy from me, or it's just some stupid, video or what. And some of those are funny, but I do get entertained sometimes. People are funny.
Right. I don't think people want to. I think they're gravitating to substance now, and when we can look at, I teach quite often is that we're the average of the top 5 people we hang around with the most. So when I meet you, and I understand that you have 256 people on average in your sphere of influence, I'm not looking to connect to all 256. I want to connect with those top 5 people that because you are the average of that. And if you're really good, then I know those 5 people are also really good as well. And that's, if I can get into that inner circle and then multiplying that effort, doing the same thing on my service media channels, because I'm going to start saying that more, so it will sink deep into my brain. I won't have to take notes, and I can articulate a message that is actually going to stir the hearts and the minds of the people that I want to attract. So now I'm looking for those people that when that garden comes around, we have grown just a bountiful crop of good people, because it's been service media. It's articulating my authenticity, my passions. It's interactive. It's experiential. It is connecting, and it's engaging. And I can just tell you, I have not done that on mine. And I have a lot of people on there.
Yeah.
So you mentioned earlier, out of the 10 million people that you have access to, if it was only 1%, that's 100,000 people. Okay, so if you bought leads, do you know? I know you know this, but I'll ask you guys. In purchase leads, do you know what the closing conversion rate usually is?
I mean, I can tell you for our personal business, I don't
Okay.
know what that. I mean, I think we're probably higher than that. We're probably at about, in some leads, generators were like 20%, and then some were at 40 or 50.
That's high.
Yeah, it is.
That's
It is.
really,
It is.
really high.
But these are leads with people who are moving. I mean, it's a fact. They're coming through a lead generation system. They're expecting, they need a quote, and they're ready to do business.
So let's contrast that with the real estate industry. A lot of times real estate leads are just people shopping and looking.
At
and
3 in
trying
the
to,
morning, like the guys from Austin said with
Yeah.
City.
Yeah.
And they said people at 3 in the morning are just looking for a house because they're bored or they're staying up all night. and
Right.
They're
It's-
not ready to buy a house.
Most people don't shop or go through the fantasy of looking at moving companies. Because,
That's correct.
Nice
Well,
truck.
yeah.
You have a
Tonight
real
I'm
nice
going to
truck.
Tonight I'm going to entertain myself by watching,
That's right.
looking at moving companies,
Yeah.
right, and put in false information
Yeah,
or
that's
whatever.
right.
It's going to be real.
So that's why I said our deal's a little different.
So real estate leads have and mortgage have a closing rate, if you do well, 1 to 3%.
Got to call 100 people to maybe get one deal, maybe 3 at best.
Right.
Yeah.
1% of 10 million is 100,000. 1% of that. How would that do in your business?
That-
It would be phenomenal.
Be pretty decent.
And the fact that you could reach 100,000 people for probably, if you wanted to put money into it, less than $30 a month.
Yeah,
You'll use more gas than that trying to chase down that many people.
you will. And those leads cost more than $30 a month.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do. You were going to say something else earlier. What was you going to say?
I didn't make a note.
Oh man.
I thought you took notes for a reason.
I did take notes, but I did not take a note on that curveball there.
So we talked. We kind of got this backwards. Once you have the numbers, so now we know the numbers. Let's talk now about the message, because that's kind of what we were talking about before. It doesn't always have to be about what I'm selling or serving, right? What kind of message do we need to get out to these people? What are we looking at, Brian?
Well, let me go back to the numbers again. Again, just a back step. I didn't realize the potential reach that I had, because I'm looking at, I have XYZ on Facebook, and I have XYZ on LinkedIn, and I have XYZ on Instagram. And that was who I thought I was talking to. I had no clue that I was actually, if I structured it correctly, I had the potential reach of that message going out to a 10 million member reach. And again, not wanting everybody, not being able to reach everybody. That's, nobody's batting 1,000 out here. And the only person I know that was perfect was Jesus, and everybody else has a mess. So that's just my own personal belief, and we'll go with that. So I'm a work in progress. So not expecting to hit 100% of that reach, but hitting some percentage of it would be just mind-boggling. That would be fantastic. So when I'm looking at that number, I don't want to see my regular numbers now. I want to see my potential. Now, can I craft that message that will reach that potential? That's where I have to dig deep and look. How do I articulate what I'm passionate about? I mean, how do we do that, guys? And I'm gonna defer and ask you guys if everybody's going to tell you they're authentic, passionate, interactive, great customer service, right? And I mentioned this to a lot of professionals that I coach and work with. How many people in your industry will say that they have excellent customer service?
Everybody.
100 out of 100, right? All the time. Now, do they really have great customer service?
Maybe sometimes.
Maybe sometimes.
With the
maybe
people they
not.
like.
Yeah. So it's all relative there. But when you ask people, what does passion mean to you and how are you articulating it, then they kind of stutter a little bit because they're not thinking that way. They're just saying, well, I'm a passionate person. Well, that's fine, but help me catch it. Don't just teach it, right? So how do we express that? That's because I'm going to take notes here. How do we express that in our message, in our talk, in our daily communication? When we do it with our spouse, or we do it with our children, or our peers, or potential clients. But how do we do that on social media? Because if we can do it in one place, we can do it in all places.
I mean, that's a great question, because it comes down to how do you convey your personality across the social media platform where, we may not, given our ages, right? We didn't grow up on social media. It's kind of something that's been learned. So how do you translate your day-to-day activities and your day-to-day personality onto social media? Sounds like an easy thing, but really for those of us who grew up on or didn't grow up on social media, it's not so easy.
Well, so let me give an example. You're in property management,
Yep.
right? Before you got into property management, you owned and managed properties.
I did.
Right.
Yep.
So you probably have some experiences where, had you had a property management company, would have saved you some time and heartache, correct?
Oh, for sure.
Okay. Those shared experiences are what resonates with the people you're looking to do business with.
Yeah.
In moving, I'm sure you've moved before yourself personally.
Oh, yeah.
Have you ever hired a moving company?
Myself.
How was that?
Yeah, actually, my first experience with hiring movers was back in East Texas years before I got in the moving business, and I thought, man, this is hard work. But then they were terrible, and so you think, well, we could do this better,
Right.
And
so being able to even just bring those stories, I mean, you're going to have, I'm sure you've got, well, I know because you've told me stories of people that hired moving companies that didn't show up,
right.
hired moving companies that broke something, tore something up, didn't fix it. So you have all of those stories that you can share through social media, communication and things like that are going to resonate with people. They're going to go, oh man, that happened to me. Someone dropped a box or dropped my television and I didn't get anything out of it. So now, because this guy understands what that's like, I'm going to think more about hiring him next time that I do move.
So let's just say that I wanted to get on social media and I wanted to share a tip or in the form of a story or kind of an experience, and that is, with even though the price of flat panel TVs has come way down, I mean, you can get a lot more bang for your buck now. It's still not $20.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're still going to spend to get a minimum of a nice TV to go to at Costco is $500 for a good size. So I mean, it costs you some money, right? So a lot of moving companies are going to wrap your TV in a blanket, a moving blanket, and try to put it somewhere on the truck that it doesn't get broken. Well, if it does, now you're out $500, and their liability is only 60 cents a pound, and that TV weighs 30 pounds or 50 pounds at most. They owe you $30. So it's not a good deal, right? A lot of moving companies are just trying to book a lot of moves, and they don't want to run you off by telling you, oh, by the way, you need to spend $35 with us to rent a TV box with the foam in it like you would get when you buy the TV to protect it. So our deal is we won't move your TV on our truck unless it's in a box, and we can rent you that box or we can sell you the box. If you buy it, you keep it for your next move or whatever. Otherwise, we rent it at a reduced cost. Or the third option is we'll wrap it in those moving blankets and place that in your car for you, so you don't have to lift it, but we don't want it on our truck. And now we're doing that for their protection and for ours. My question is, on social media, would that be better in a video message, or would that be better spelled out with a story, typed out? So those are the things that I'm dealing with, trying to figure out on social media, is what's the best way to share that message?
Okay, I'm going to take that one.
Okay.
And so this is how I would look at it, and how I have envisioned it is we have moving tips.
Right.
So you have your YouTube channel out, and you have your 2-minute moving tips. Hey guys, if you're thinking about moving anytime in the next 3 to 6 months, moving a TV can be really crazy. It can be nerve-wracking because you don't want it to get broken. You don't want it to slide off the truck or have something slide in the moving truck while it's moving. So we suggest, number one, a TV moving box.
Right.
$30. Ask your mover.
But you're doing this on video.
I would absolutely do that on video. So
one thing is, it's more favorable. It's gonna be pushed out by the platforms more if it's video.
Okay. Because there's a guy right now, and I won't mention his name, but I think he does a good job of getting the message out about his business, and he's constantly sharing. He's taking pictures of things that he sees in his industry.
I bet I know who you're talking about.
Then he posted on Facebook, and a lot of it's comical.
Is it roofing?
No.
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 Oh.
And so,
I know someone doing
but
that.
he's constantly sharing stuff, and like I thought I'd seen it all until today, and then he posts something from his industry. And it's not about people, like specific person, but it's something in his industry, their home or whatever. But anyway, but I rarely see videos. It's always a picture and then his comments about it. So that's why I've been conflicted on, would he be better off, which in turn, would I be better off posting videos or doing commentary on pictures?
I think in his a picture, because I do think I know who you're talking about now. Is it inspection?
Yeah.
Okay. So I know exactly who you're talking about, and it's comical. I mean, I look at some of that stuff, and I'm like,
And he's consistent with what he's putting out, as far as he's constantly got stuff out multiple times through the day. So you definitely know when you hear this guy's name, you know what he does and what his business is. And you assume he's passionate about it, because it seems, again, Facebook is not always what things they appear to be, but it would appear through Facebook that he's passionate because he's working all the time. He's taking pictures. He's out there. He's taking time to put it on social media. Like, don't do this in your house. So he's getting a message across. I've just wondered, would it be better to do a video or?
I think that what he's doing is working well for him, but I think he already has a pretty good audience.
Right.
So I think that's kind of effective. For me personally, I think that it would serve him just as well, if not better, to have some videos.
Yeah.
Because again, I think that we need to focus on the personal brand, who you are, what you do, and kind of get people familiar with you.
Because my thought is for our business, is to do the personal videos with me just basically giving the moving tip, and people make a connection with me and then hear my tips through video. Not that to have my face on the screen, but I mean, that's just more personable, rather than a picture and a written out words.
Why couldn't you do all three?
You can.
You could do a video, do a 2-minute video, have it transcribed, attach the picture to the transcription.
Sure.
And then you put it onto your blog, and then you you link it into your frequently asked questions.
Right.
Or here's 15 tips on moving before you move.
Yeah.
And get the sheet. So you're
And
basically doing a lead funnel.
We do still photos and stuff on our company Facebook about moving tips, but I'm just thinking about the more personal stuff and the testimonial from my own experience and what I've experienced on my own moves with my own guys, and things that we've learned through my, just through my own personal moves, things I've learned that I then use to help and, benefit our customers, and then things we learn from our customers, and we're like, man, I can't believe they did that.
Again, the reason I like video is because the algorithms of social media promote video more than pictures and just words.
Okay.
And your voice, just how we're created, it's very powerful. That your voice has that unique frequency, that unique pitch, the cadence that you have, and people listen.
Well, yeah, and it always goes. You hear the saying that, message through text message can be completely misunderstood, right? So with video, there's not a whole lot of room for that error, right? So it definitely conveys your personality much more so than, either a picture or text over that picture.
And even on successful moves, having that client when over and done, just a 30-second, why did you like James Kern and Delicate Moving?
Right.
That's as powerful as anything, because that's what resonates with that next mover.
Right.
It's somebody that's gone through a good experience.
I agree.
I'm glad.
And I think that
makes the show go better.
Yeah, I know it does. One day I won't agree with everything.
I like challenges.
So, but I mean, if you had the picture and you had the, I teach people how to repurpose their marketing, because we spend hours on trying to be creative, when you can spend an hour being creative and then look at chopping it, repurposing it, putting it into different platforms. So, you do the radio program, you put it on YouTube, you cut 10-minute segments off, you put one on LinkedIn, you transcribe that, you put that 10-minute segment on a blog, you connect it back to your website or a call to action. So you could take that one thing that you did and repurpose it on your Instagram, your Pinterest, your YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, etc. I just think that we don't think about repackaging or repurposing that for different audiences.
Right.
Sure.
I mean, that day-to-day grind of running your business, like you said, working your business or working in your business, I mean, that's the biggest
challenge for any self-employed person,
is.
because you're the face of your business, but you are also the best employee you're ever going to have.
Sure. I mean, who am I going to trust to reconcile, QuickBooks, or to put especially in a small business where you don't want to spend a ton of money on a CPA when you can do those transactions yourself, and then you want to keep up with, my CPA is not going to be able to tell me if one of my movers is spending too much money on fuel, like if it's out of the ordinary, which would be considered theft, that's how you pick up on, nobody's going to do that but me, and so I would rather hire people that can sell and manage the guys, and then I'll take care of the stuff with the money, and so you find yourself managing the money, you find yourself managing the back office stuff, and then you're like, well, crud, it's 3:00 and we just had 6 moves that were going on today, and I could have been out there talking to a customer and getting a video of them to tell everybody how great they are. I'll do that tomorrow. Then you come in the office and it's raining.
Got 10 new fires.
You got 10 new fires, and you're like, man, you're a fireman, and so that's the hard part. I mean, that's the balance.
Yeah, and that goes back to other shows that we've done, but it is that time. That's the other thing that I wrote down is your message, your story. It has to be frequent, and it has to be consistent. And when I'm talking about consistent, I'm not just talking about the message is consistent, but when and how you do it. If you're going to do 1 video a month, if you're going to do 2 videos a month, you have to have that in your planner, and you have to commit to that and stay with it, because that's the only thing that's going to build an audience. It's kind of like they've got to keep coming back to the trough, right? If they come back to the trough one day and there's no feed in it, sooner or later they're not going to come back to the trough anymore.
Right.
Because they're not being fed where they're used to being fed. Crazy analogy, but I'm a country boy, and that it works. I'm telling you. With animals, at least. I don't know about humans.
I'm not going to get into that.
Hey, kids come to the dinner table every night, right?
I know.
Well, why do they do that? That's where they get fed.
Feed my sheep.
There you go. That's a good analogy.
That's a kind of another historic deal.
Probably a little bit classier than mine, but
I didn't tell him to go back to the trough, but he just said, feed my sheep, take care of my lambs.
I gave them directions on where to go.
Yes, he did.
So, but to your point, James, is I think that is our struggle, and none of us are perfect with it.
Yeah.
We're not. But I think that coming up with the numbers, having the revelation of what's out there, what the possibilities are, because I think that that's where a lot of us we give up too easy because we don't really understand the potential.
Correct.
That's
And the second one is we give up too easy because we don't have time to do it. We say we don't have time to do it, but yeah.
Well, in sports analogies, you go and you build your team through free agency or you build it through the draft. I mean, you may have a lot of young players on your respective team, whether it's football or basketball, but football mostly because, rookies sometimes have a hard time integrating into the game. But the teams like the Redskins, don't want to hurt anybody's feelings out there, but the Redskins have been a team that's gone out year in and year out and just continued to fill their roster up with free agencies.
not working
and
too
it
well.
doesn't work. And you look
Yeah.
at the Patriots, and they don't have a lot of, they don't sign a lot of free agents, and when they do, they're not the high-priced free agent, and so they're building it from the draft and through development.
Well,
And so you
yeah.
develop your business through those relationships, through the media, through the social media, instead of the leads, which are instant gratification, or so you think they are. And so it takes a longer. I mean, all of us are, struggle with that. Is we've got bills that are due tomorrow or in 30 days. I need customers to pay those bills in 30 days. And if I spend all my time trying to plant a garden here, yeah, that's going to pay off great, but I may not even be in business by the time the vegetables start, coming up through the garden. And so there's that balance. I mean, those are real struggles. I'm just.
No, they are real struggles, and I think, and I don't know that any of us really have the answer, but I kind of look at this like as a commercial farmer. That's a business in itself, right? They have fires to put out every day. The tractor may break down. There may be something. It may rain. They may have 2 or 3 weeks of bad weather. Maybe the harvest is pushed back. I can't imagine the fires that they put out on a daily basis, yet they still have to cultivate, nurture, and prepare. And I think that if we don't figure out a way to do that, then we're perpetually always trying to pay that bill the next day.
Right. We're basically chasing business versus having business chase us.
That's true.
And I say this quite often. Money is a horrible leader, but it's a fantastic follower. Don't chase the things that are meant to follow. Just don't do it. And, no different if we use sports analogy or working out. You're going to hit the gym. That's great. Everybody hit the gym the first 6 weeks of this year. It's exciting. They'll be out by February the 18th. But that gym it should be a lifestyle,
Right.
and it shouldn't be just a one-time gig or once a year. My annual donation to my body should be every single day, not just once a year. But when I look at the gym, you're not going to see immediate results.
Yeah, if you're thirsty for water, that means you're dehydrated.
Correct.
You should never be
Too
thirsty
late.
for water. You should be drinking water all the time. I drink a gallon a day because of that. So you got to continually feed your business so that you're not dehydrated, so to speak, or starving for business, and then you have to go and slam a gallon of water or Gatorade or whatever because you're so thirsty.
Right.
I think also that we have to start in a mindset change. We have to start looking at the process versus the activity.
Correct.
Doing a marketing campaign and branding is a process. It's not an activity. And I think our activities are something we do when it's convenient, we feel like it, or we have time for it. And a process is something that we do regardless.
Yeah.
We talked about Kobe before we went on air. He was all about process.
Yes.
He was one of the most committed people to the process of improvement.
Yep.
And everybody knows him for that. I mean, as far as his professionalism
Yeah.
goes.
You got to look at the scoreboard every now and then, but you can't be focused on the scoreboard. The scoreboard will take care of itself if you're involved in the process, and it's a good process.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Sure.
All right, guys. We got to wrap it up. Good show today.
It
Yeah.
was a great show.
I learned a lot.
I did too. I have a lot of notes.
Yep. So I want to thank you all for tuning in and hope that we're able to bring some insight into the things that can make the difference in your pursuit of exceptionalism. Next week, we're going to have a brand new co-host. Actually, next week, we're going to be doing something different. It's actually going to be talking about community. I'm going to have an old friend of mine. He's not old, but Coach Mike Wheeler from Dallas Christian is going to come in and talk about the process of building champions and things like that, and how that relates to business. And I'm actually going to have 3 guys that he and I both coached that are in business now, and how they have taken some of the things that they thought we were crazy in talking about back in high school, and they apply that to business now.
Excellent.
So that's going to be a pretty good one. But thank you guys for watching, and don't forget, it's hard to make a difference until you're consistent in doing the things that make the difference. Tune in next week, and we will see you then.